25th September 1935, Talk 72. Mr. K.S.N. Iyer, a railway officer, asked about Japa. Maharishi. The utterance and then remembrance and later meditation are the successive stages, finally ending in involuntary and eternal japa. The japakar, doer of japa of that kind is the self. Of all the japas, who am I is the best. 27th September 1935, Talk 73. Mr. Ekanta Rao, the engineer, asked, what about the despondency of not obtaining any encouragement from the master, much less his grace? Maharishi. It is ignorance only. The quest must be made as to who is dependent and so on. It is the phantom of the ego arising after sleep which falls a prey to such thoughts. In deep sleep, the person was not afflicted. Who is afflicted now while awake? The sleep state is about the normal one. Let him search and find out. Devotee. But there is no incentive for want of encouragement. Maharishi. Doesn't one find some kind of peace while in meditation? That is the sign of progress. That peace will be deeper and more prolonged with continued practice. It will also lead to the goal. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, the final verses speak of Gunatit, one who has transcended the gunas. That is the final stage. The earlier stages are Asuddha Sattva, impure being, Mishra Sattva, mixed being, and Suddha Sattva, pure being. Of these, the impure being is when overpowered by Rajas and Tamas. The mixed being is that state in which the being Sattva asserts itself spasmodically. The Suddha Sattva overpowers Rajas and Tamas. After these successive stages, there comes the state transcending gunas. Talk 74. Mr. Friedman, the engineer, writes in one of his letters, Maharishi is with me not only when I think of him, but also when I am not thinking of him. Otherwise, how do I live? Talk 74. 5. Mr. Grant Duff, formerly in a foreign embassy, writes, pay my respects to Maharishi. He appears to me in my thoughts not only as an answer to my questions, but also as presence. 29th September 1935, Talk 76. Mr. K.S.N. Iyer said that he was not convinced how spiritual life could be reconciled to worldly activities. The master in answer cited some verses from Yoga Vasishtha. The original is said to be millions of verses, of which only 32,000 stanzas are now found in the Sanskrit text. It was condensed to 6,000 and called Laghu Vasishtha. The later has been rendered in Tamil in 2050 stanzas. Devotee. Without the mind concentrated on it, the work cannot be performed satisfactorily. How is the mind to be spiritually disposed and the work kept going as well? Maharishi. The mind is only a projection from the self. Appearing in the waking state, in deep sleep, you don't say whose son you are and so on. As soon as you wake up, you say you are so and recognize the world and so on. The world is only lokaha. Lokyate iti lokaha. What is perceived is the world. That which is seen is lokaha or the world, which is the I that sees it. That is the ego which rises and sinks periodically. But you exist always. Therefore, that which lies beyond the ego is consciousness, the self. In deep sleep, mind is merged and not destroyed. That which merges reappears. It may happen in meditation also. But the mind which is destroyed cannot reappear. The yogi's aim must be to destroy it and not to sink in laya. In a piece of dhyana, laya ensues, but it is not enough. It must be supplemented by other practices for destroying the mind. Some people have gone into samadhi with a trifling thought and after a long time awakened in the trail of the same thought. In the meantime, generations have passed away in the world. Such a yogi has not destroyed his mind. Its destruction is the non recognition of it as being apart from the self. Even now, the mind is not. Recognize it. How can you do it if not in everyday activities? They go on automatically. Know that the mind promoting them is not real, but a phantom proceeding from the self. That is how the mind is destroyed.